Okay guys, this video is for a few people that may have a little bit of a difficulty trying to sort out the stress and the frustration, but more importantly, this video is for a few folks to get them to look at things from the big picture. In the tutoring domain, there is a lot of situations where the person being tutored really doesn't have an idea of all the work that goes in before the student shows up. So we have this thing called prep work in the tutoring community, which means that for those of us that take tutoring seriously, we are trying to do the best we can with what we have so we can provide the best factual information for the tutor, because it's more important for a few of us to provide the facts than the fiction. Now, some people in some professions, well, you know what? In every professions, you got the good guys and the bad guys. You got to sort that out on your own. No one can help you. But in this situation, what I want to do is provide a little peek behind the curtain so you have an idea as a student looking for a tutor on what to expect. And this is kind of important because people need to be aware of this that are looking for tutors to help them better understand, my gosh, what is this material? It's confusing, it's frustrating, and I really don't know what I'm dealing with. Well, there's a couple ways to look at it. So you have your Introduction to Circuits course, and that's typically a semester at some junior colleges and maybe a couple universities. For those of us that went in the apprenticeship route, that's 4 to 5 years time-based, where you're working for your journeyman who's under the direction of the foreman, and you're assigned tasks to make sure yet, number one, you don't hurt yourself, but more importantly, you get a better understanding of how to get the job done right, but you still have to study after work a couple nights a week, or possibly 1 or 2 nights a week, but you're studying at least a minimum in a lecture or going through the material formally once a week at a minimum. Then the other side of the coin too is that there's this other course called Circuit Analysis and Lab, and that's 1 semester, but that's almost identical to Introduction to Circuits. So the problem is that those 2 guys are gateway courses. They're basically saying, here are the wires, this is what you need to know, and by the way, the fun has just begun. So you're going to have to figure out the best way to hit the formulas. You're going to have to be able to get it done in the classroom or the lecture hall. It doesn't matter. The material's there. It's up to you to hit this. This video is going to attempt to explain how to hit this material with everything you got so that you represent the profession as the professional. So this is a calendar. You may have seen that. That's the calendar for the United States and our blessed, beautiful holidays where we give tribute and respect to those that have done a lot of work to make this country better than it actually is. So we need to make sure that we honor those holidays. But then we have this thing called a semester, typically January to June, depending on the school, depending on the coursework, depending on the material. We'll just say that's a semester right there. That's a semester with holidays. What does that mean? That means that there are business days known as holidays that you're not actually in the lecture hall because the university is also recognizing those holidays and observances so that we give the respect to the people who founded the country. Now, here's the fun part. When you dial further into this, you have the Saturday through Saturday or Sunday through Saturday calendar. Okay? And then you have the other calendar, which is Monday through Friday. Now, depending on what you're doing, we'll call the Monday through Friday the business week, and we'll call the Sunday through Saturday the actual full week. Because during the week, during the banker hours, you need to be busting your tail and getting into the class, getting into the material, and making sure that your journeyman is giving you the right information, or going to the TA and asking the TA, hey, this doesn't add up. Can you help out? Actually, no, you need to hit the professor because I've got something going on right now and we need to get this squared away. So the professor's going to have business hours or office hours Monday through Friday or somewhere in between, maybe even on a Saturday if you're lucky. But I don't want to go there. We know Mickey. Mickey's little hand basically points to the hour, and Mickey's long hand basically points to the minute. But there's a couple people that don't understand what that is, so there we go. We have that too. That's numbers. What does that mean? It's 6:10 a.m. or p.m., and it's 30 seconds after the 10th minute. So this is a calendar of your day. This is where I need you to focus, because now let's get into the weeds. You could look at the actual week, Sunday through Saturday, and you've already tried to find a tutor that can work with your schedule. Monday through Friday probably may not work for what you're doing. May get one day like a Monday or a Wednesday or a Tuesday or a Thursday or possibly a Friday with a little bit of time during the banker hours, but you probably want to stop by the professor's office just to make sure you're on time, on target, and you know what's up next, but that's your call. The other side of the coin too is the Sunday through Saturday scenario means that you need to figure out where you can get additional information on how to go through whatever it is confusing you. So when you think about it, sometimes you got to let that little gear in between your ears or that humpy little hamster to get his job done by saying, hey, if I know I'm in this course for the next 16 weeks, and I mean that's going to be Sunday through Saturday, 16 repetitive weeks, and I know I've got a class or I've got a job to do between Monday through Friday from 5:30, 6:30, 7:30 in the morning until 3:30, 4:30, 5:30 in the evening, or my classes are done by 4 p.m. or 8 p.m. at night. You have 16 Sunday through Saturdays to figure out when you would like to be tutored. Now, just as a suggestion, again, you may want to sit there and say, hey, let's take a closer look, because if I know that if I need to work with a tutor every Tuesday or every Sunday or every Saturday for an hour just to go through that material that I can't sort out, that means you're going to book that schedule, because you're going to have to go back to that schedule. And let me give you a little example here, because here we have Frank. Frank's a proactive guy, because on Monday the 3rd, Frank got in touch with the tutor and said, hey, I got 3 questions I want to work on. I need to know if you're going to be available, Mr. Tutor or Miss Tutor, at Friday on the 7th at noon. Tutor responds back, Frank, we can book you if you're ready to go. Let's lock and load. Look forward to seeing you. Send me those 3 questions. Let me run through them so that, Frank, when you show up at noon and we're ready to go, we can hit it like nobody's business. Fantastic. That's a perfect ideal condition. Frank decided to contact a tutor on Monday the 3rd. He booked the appointment for Friday the 7th at noon, and Frank's ready to go. Well, we got Mike. Well, what's Mike going to do? Well, Mike wants to do it on Friday too, because he's got classes Monday through Thursday. And, Mike, Mike realizes that, hey, you know what? Sometimes you got to work hard and focus on getting the work done. So Frank and Mike, Frank's sitting there saying, hey, I can do it in the morning around noon. And Frank wants, and Frank's being a great guy. Mike is sitting there at 6 p.m. I'm off the clock. I'm done working my part-time job. Let's do it. Mr. Tutor, here are the questions. Can we lock and load? Yes, we can. Let's hit it. Fantastic. Well, Miguel needs some help too. And Miguel booked the appointment on Wednesday the 5th at 4 o'clock for Friday at 4 p.m. And Miguel said, hey, Mr. Tutor, I got this ready for you, and can you help me with these 3 questions for an hour on Friday? Can you do it? Well, okay, Miguel, what time is best for you? 4 p.m. Fantastic, let's do it. Well, what do we do about Mark? Because on Sunday the 2nd, Mark actually thought about sending the email to the tutor. It's Thursday the 6th, and Mark is sitting there saying, hey, Miss Tutor, are you available on Friday the 7th at 2 p.m.? Well, fantastic. Let's do it. Lock and load. Off we go. Well, what about John? What about Lisa? What about Linda? What about Steve? When you're booking the appointment with the tutor is trying to set up the time for you so that, number one, you get the attention you deserve. you get all the information you need to know, or it's conveyed as best as possible. Do tutors know everything there is to know about the subject? No. Do tutors know everything there is about the material? No. They're going to work with what they have. They're going to cover what they know. And if they have any regard, they will tell you straight up, hey, I can't get this fourth question that you asked, so I'm going to put that off to the side. Let's work on the three others and we'll get you squared away. So when you come down to it, the Sunday through Saturday, you're doing that 16 times. You need to plan for that. And when you're looking at these semesters and you're looking at these time frames, and you know that you're going to be in this class twice a week, 4 times a week, 3 times a week, whatever times a week, you know what your schedule is. Yes, every one of us has had to go out of their way to pay for this course, pay for that course. And it doesn't matter if your background's military or not. It doesn't matter if you're the one doing the calculations or ordering the materials. It doesn't matter if you're the one doing the actual terminations or not. You do you, you bring your experience to the table, but you need to bring your A game, because if you enjoy going at this level in this profession, you need to make sure you're squared away. And quite frankly, there's a plenty of amateurs out there that will sit there and play games and go one way, go the other way, and disrupt previously scheduled events. The problem is the difference between you and the difference between the person competing for the same job is, number one, what is their background? What is their experience? Then number two, what is their professionalism? Do they show up on time? Do they plan things correctly? And number three, do they get the job done when requested without additional instruction? That's it, folks. So my suggestion is plan. Do the actual planning. Schedule your week in advance. Schedule your 16 weeks in advance. Dedicate 1 day a week, an hour, maybe 2 hours. And then from there, if you've got an exam coming up 2 weeks from now, and you say, hey, I want to do 1 week, 1 appointment, as usual, to cover the material, but I want to do an extra day that week to prepare for the exam in 2 weeks. And then the week before the exam, you're sitting there saying, hey, we're still meeting on this date, but I want to do another day to prep for the exam. Here are the questions I'm having a problem with. You're able to do it correctly as the professional that you are. And that is how it needs to be done.